Hello.
I think we're live. Uh-oh, we lost Bridget. Oh, we traded Bridget for Elana.
Oh, yay! I'm like, I am backstage. I'm like, here we go. I guess I'm going to introduce us because we lost Bridget. Oh, there's Bridget!
So we are the Romance Through the Ages promo group. We're 6 authors who all have amazing books that are not ever free. My book's never been free at all. And we're all giving them away only through NOOK and only through this Romance Through the Ages promo as a holiday gift to all of you guys. We're really excited. We're going to get around to talking about our book some, but first we thought you guys might want to hear a little bit about who we are and what we do. Part of it, so what I'd love to do is have Wendy start us out. At least when I look at the screen, I think it's the same for everyone. It shows Wendy, Martha, Sally. So if we could do Wendy, Martha, Sally, and then go down to Emma, and then Elana, and come back to me, I'll go last. But if you guys want to introduce yourselves, tell us and the readers a little bit about what you do when you're not writing, and then tell us about how you write. Do you have pen names? How many books do you have out? What genres do you write? And then we'll come back around after everyone's introduced themselves and talk about our books that you can get for free, because we're really excited to be partnering with NOOK. I'm sure everybody agrees with me when we say that it is phenomenal to have business partners like Barnes & Noble who work with us to help us get our books that we love and spend so much time making as beautiful and wonderful as we can into the hands of readers, because connecting with you guys and finding homes for our books is why we're here. It's what we love to do. So Wendy, if you want to kick us off, tell us a little about you, your family, your pets, your kids, whatever you want to talk about you, and then tell us about your books.
Well, I'm nervous about going first, but I'm probably the most boring, so maybe that's good. I live in Toronto. I don't have kids or pets, so you all have beat me on those. But I'm also probably in the coldest of all of you because, like I said, I'm in Toronto. I've been writing for, 15 years, published for 15 years. I started in Regency, and that's my primary genre, but I do have a contemporary women's fiction series as well. And the book that I'm highlighting this evening is an American historical. So I've jumped around a little bit, but they all kind of have the same themes, and happily ever after is very important to all of us. So.
And are they all under the same name?
Yeah. Well, my contemporaries are W.M. Andrews. I'm super original.
Yeah, I'm B.E. You can see on my little name there, Bridget E. and B.E. Baker. I'm very creative. So, okay, great. Martha?
Me to go? Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm Martha Keys. I live in Utah. I've got twin 6-year-old boys who hopefully you can't hear jumping around playing Super Smash Bros in the other room. But I'm like trying to think what I like to do when I'm not writing. And it's weird because I'm like, when am I not writing? But also I feel like I'm not writing a lot, like procrastinating a lot. So we like to travel quite a bit, but we're oddly homebodies as well. So we're kind of a, what is that called? I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, but we like both. I started out in Regency as well, and I still write in Regency. I have some Scottish romance from the 1700s, and then I've more recently started to dive into some romantic comedy contemporary as well. So I think I have 28 titles out currently. So that's me.
28 is pretty good. I mean, no one can compare to Elana, but that's a lot.
Yeah, for real.
Wendy, how many did you say you had?
I forgot that bit. I have 35-ish.
That makes me feel better because I was like, I don't remember. So you're right above 30, and Martha's just barely below. That's great. All right, I think we're to you, Sally.
So, hi, y'all. I'm Sally Britton. I am busy with family when I'm not busy with writing, because we're still kind of in the thick of things. My oldest is only 14 and my youngest is 7. And then there's an 11 and a 12-year-old in there too. So we're right in the middle of all the things for that age. In our house, we have 2 Australian Shepherds that you will see coming and going out of this amazing dog door that my husband put into my she shed. I'm in my she shed tonight. So they come and go as they please. We've got a cat, a snake, and a jumping spider, which is apparently now a thing that we have as pets, according to TikTok.
Can you not tell my kids, please?
I will keep that to myself, as long as they're not watching our live. I currently have 32 titles out in the world. They are all historical romance. They're Regency, an early Victorian, and 3 Westerns. I'm about to branch into a little bit of historical fantasy, which I'm excited about. And I've been doing this for 6 years come January. So it's been a great 6 years. It's really fun.
That's awesome. All right, we're up to you, Emma, except I keep wanting to call you something else.
You can call me anything and I'll answer to it. I'm Emma, which is a pen name. And so a lot of you guys know me. It's not like a hidden pen name. So a lot of people call me Kiki. I live in Houston, so we're very warm. I live very close to Bridget. Sometimes we get to hang out. Not as often as we should. We need to get on that.
I was rollerblading yesterday and I'm like, I gotta call Kiki.
I know. We got to get on that. I've got 5 kids. Hopefully none will come barging in those doors. Sometimes they because these are like glass doors. It's dark out there, but sometimes they come and like dance like in the window when I'm having meetings. So it's real fun. Their ages 15 all the way down to 7. So it's wild over here. We have 1 dog. He's a Great Dane. So he counts for like 3 dogs, I think, in terms of size, and like half a dog in terms of activity because he's super lazy. And then we have 2 cats that we call our COVID mistakes. Anyone else get COVID pets that you're like, what were we thinking? We were stuck at home. I write romantic comedy. And I was actually like trying to tally up how many books. I was like, I don't know how many I've written. And I don't think I have them all, but I've written over 30 books, not all romantic comedies. I've got some that are just straight romance. Like the one that's actually in this promo, Sandover Beach Christmas, I actually would still call it a comedy. It was one of the first books. It wasn't the first book, but it was one of the first books that I was like, okay, we're going to write rom-com after this, because so many people wrote in the reviews that they were laughing through. And then I also have a pen name for like urban fantasy, but I don't really do too much of that right now. Tis not the season for vampires. When I'm not writing, Martha, was it you that were like, I don't know, like I'm always writing and also not getting much done. Yeah, I do like to roller skate. I like working out, even though like I don't look like someone who works out a lot. I just really like it. And I like reading. I do a lot of reading, which I gave up. I feel like when my kids were little, I didn't read for like 7 years, which is like, let's just not talk about that period in my life. Like that didn't happen. And so we're making up for lost time, doing a lot of reading now. So I saw someone in the comments, Vampire Santa Claus. No, but I did see a book like that today for sale, but I will not be the one writing the Vampire Santa Claus novels. So
that's funny. All right, Elena, I think we're to you.
We're to me, and I see some people saying where they're from. I just want to say I'm really happy that there's people from Connecticut and Minnesota here. It's colder than us. I'm like over winter already. It's December, like, I don't know, 6th. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this. New Zealand, I would like to be there. Is it warm in New Zealand right now? Yes, it is. They're in the southern hemisphere. Anyway, welcome everyone who's here. Always fun to see people, chat with you. Love to see where you're at and where you're joining us from. So love seeing those comments. And Julie put this in her Nook. Her name is Julie, but she posts as Nook. If you got questions for us, we'd love to hear them. We love talking to readers and answering your deepest, darkest desires of your heart. I mean, maybe not the darkest. I am Elana Johnson. I also live in Utah, so I have to know where Martha lives because I didn't know. I feel like I knew she lived in Utah, but when she said it, I was like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Where do you live?
I live in Vineyard. Basically,
I taught at Vineyard Elementary for 19 years.
What?
Yeah,
That's right by me.
I retired at the end of 2018, so that was 5 or 6 years ago. So I wouldn't have taught your kids, but I taught the whole school. I taught them in the computer lab for a long time. I live just up the road in American Court.
Oh, we're neighbors.
Yeah, I'm like, I drove to Vineyard every day for a
rollerblade. You can rollerblade together.
Exactly.
Okay, Elena doesn't rollerblade.
Yes.
She might have to put a wig on and adopt a different personality, and then maybe she would rollerblade. But I think she would need a new name like Tanya or something. But like she doesn't do the rollerblading. We've got Pennsylvania and Ohio. Also cold people. So happy. So I am in Utah also. I write clean and wholesome beach romance under Elana Johnson or beach adjacent. I have some that don't have a lot of beach in them, but they're in the coastal bend of Texas, so I'm totally counting it as beachy. I write, and Elana has, I don't know, 55 books. I'm going to say 55. I love my beach escape. I live in a landlocked state with a salt lake, so, you know, we got to do something about that. And so I love the ocean and I love the beach, and it's perfect escape for me to write about those things. I also write as Liz Isaacson, so some of you might know me as Liz. I do answer to that name. I'm sending hundreds of Christmas cards with Liz Isaacson's return address on them tomorrow. Liz writes Christian cowboy romance, and I've got just over 100 titles under Liz. And then I am writing romantic women's fiction. It's under Jessie Newton. I only have 2 series there, and one of them is totally not worth reading. So just read the 5 Island Cove series. I'm sure we all have those fears. We're like, why did I write this? What was I thinking? That's my Nantucket point. Like, we just pretend like it doesn't exist, and we just tell everybody to read 5 Island Cove. So I've been writing for quite a long time. I started with Simon & Schuster in 2011. So I've been writing for about 15, 16 years now. I went full indie in 2018. Liz was born in 2015, so she's been around longer. When I'm not writing, I hang out with my family, my dogs. I have 2 kids. They're both adults. They don't live with me anymore. So I'm an empty nester. My daughter will be 19 in a couple weeks. My son is 25. And then I've got this one back there. That's my golden doodle, Winston. He's 8. And there's Willow, if I can turn enough. There she is. She kind of blends into him. But there's another head over there, right? I'm like, there's the big dog and then the little one. Willow. She won't look. See how obedient they are? They're not. She's 6. She'll be 6 in a couple weeks.
I don't know. That's pretty good. I've been to the dog park with you, and you take them, and they go and get the ball, and they come back. If I took my 3 dogs to the dog park, I'd never see them again. They'd just be gone.
If you have food, they'll do anything. Like, he's watching me because he's like, is she going to eat anything over there? Because I eat a lot while I work at my computer. But yeah, when I'm not doing that, I'm taking my dogs to the park. I like to crochet. That gives me something to do where I'm not on the computer. And I am a super lover of crime dramas, crime documentaries, fake crime stuff, all crime all the time. That's me. All right, Bridget, you got to tell us about you and what you do.
Okay. So mine's a little overwhelming when I talk about my non-writing stuff. I should sing it like the Christmas song. I have 5 kids, 5 kids. No, I don't think I'm going to try. But I do have 5 kids, 7 horses, 3 cats, 3 dogs, 30 chickens, 7 of which are chicks right now still. I mean, they're like almost 2 months old. So, but I live in Texas and close to Emma. And it's like it was 70 degrees today. So we pretty much ride year round. I wish I had a covered arena in the back, but I don't. So when it rains, I'm kind of stuck, but otherwise we're good. And then my son just started getting a lot of fish crap. And I'm like, no, we don't need more pets. I have too many pets. We got COVID rabbits. So speaking of pets I don't need, I'm like, there's a hiatus on all pets, right? No more animals at the Baker Zoo.
Not only that, but Bridget has had exotic pets before. And she has an exotic cat now. Like she doesn't just say, it's not just a cat, you guys. It's like a special cat.
So we have 2. We have a Maine Coon she's really sweet. We adopted her from the shelter, but no one wanted her because Maine Coons can be a bit of a mess. But she's been perfect for us. And then a friend of mine, there was a little old lady that we went to church with, and she had bought a $3,000 Bengal. And Bengals are awesome cats, but they're high need. And so
they're divas.
She wanted to know if we would take him, and Ra has been an absolute hoot. He is by far our favorite cat. Just yesterday, my daughter opened the door to let the dogs back in, and Ra's like, I'm gonna come in too. And the dogs are like, oh no, you're not. And so Rod's like sitting on my shoulder like he's some kind of scarf. And he's like, neener, neener, neener. I'm like, you have to go back outside. And we're not horrible. He lives outside, but we also have a huge tack room that's air conditioned and heated. They can come and go from the cats. So he has a lot of area to be. He'll literally walk along the ridge line in the barn. Like he is a busy and excited and delighted cat to be outside. One of the reasons that the lady wanted to put him up for adoption is that he was constantly sneaking out, but he does follow you around like a dog. And so while we're riding in the backyard, we have to be really careful we don't run over him, because he'll just like wander right in front of us as we're riding the horses and try to climb up the horse to sit next to us. He's a weird cat. So we love him. I just got a call last week from a friend of mine who has 2 Bengals, wants to know if I want more. And I was like, they are really cool. So we haven't decided. But anyway, we have a lot of animals. And I used to have a pet wallaby, which is like a small kangaroo. I've had 2 actually. So that's what Elena's talking about with the exotics. But I also have a bunch of hobbies. I love to bake. We're really involved with church. I work out almost every day, although I haven't for the last month. I went up to Alaska to help my sister with her new baby, got sick, came back, haven't had any energy. So I'm like, I worked out 2 days ago, and today I was like, I should work out. And I thought that about 6 times between like 7 and 8. And then I was like, I guess it's not going to happen today. So hopefully my workout will come back and I will get back to working out every morning, because I get a lot more done when I get moving earlier. I did ride horses. I ride horses almost every day, but I don't really count that as a workout. So anyway, that's my,
you told us 0 about your books.
Forgot about the books.
Yeah,
right.
let's talk about that.
So I just put out my 43rd book last week. And surprise, I put out 2 books in 9 days or something. I was only going to put out 1, but when I started writing that one, I had an idea for the other one. And anybody who's heard me talk about writing knows that I outline everything. I'm a heavy, heavy outliner. 43 books, 42 have been outlined. This 43rd book just came to me as like a book. It was like, I'm done. This is the story you tell. And I was like, huh. So I just started writing. I didn't even do an outline. I just wrote it. And it took me like 4 days to write the whole thing. So when I write really, really fast, because I have a lot of stuff going on. So people are like, how do you write your books with all that going on? Because I homeschool my youngest 2 kids. My kids are 7 to 16. They're almost the same ages as Emma's. She has 5 and I have 5. Hers are like 7 to 15 and mine are 7 to 16. They're busy and they require a lot because they all have a million activities. But I just, luckily, Elana writes super fast too. So it's not like an anomaly, but I just have very little time to write. So I just write really fast when I do. So I put out 10 books this year to her, like 15 or something, or 20.
I'm just more consistent. So
yeah,
our word counts might be the same at the end of the month, but Bridget will do it in 4 days and I'll do it in 20. Right? Like nobody writes like Bridget. She's a total binger. So she'll be like, I wrote 20,000 words today. And I'm like, yeah, I've done that this week too, but not in 1 day, but in 5.
That's true.
So it's just, that's just how we are. She's a binger. I'm just slow and steady.
So to keep us on, we're going to stay on track. Our next step will be, Wendy, we're going to start with you again. Unless you want us to go in reverse order, we can if it makes you nervous. But this is where we get to talk about, and this is the easy one, we get to talk about the book that we've made free, and that series in general. I think for most people, it's probably going to be a series starter. For me, it is. It may not be for everybody. But so if you want, it's not, that's okay if it's not, Martha, but I'm going to talk about, hey, this is the book and this is that series that it starts. So if you want to start us off, Wendy, that would be awesome.
Well, first, I want to know, how did the horses feel about the Bengal jumping in front of them when you're...
So my horses love the cats. Some of them get irritated and will like put their head down and they whoosh air at it and then it runs off, but for the most part, they really like the cats. The first week that we had him though, he was terrified. When we got him, he hid in the tack room the entire time. He was like, what are those huge creatures? And now he's like, oh, they're great. We're cool. It's cool. And he follows them trotting around and climbs up on Leo's back. That's my Palomino. So, they're fine now. Actually, they watch out for him because he has absolutely no sense of self-preservation as far as I can tell. So they're really careful not to step on him. He's lucky.
I'm going to have to remember to pick your brain about horse stuff when I have a tendency to only mention them. They're not really live in my books because I don't have much horse experience, but the majority of my books are historical. So horses are a fact of the life there, but they're kind of like the car. So
I do have a lot of writer friends. So I'm a lawyer too. So people tend to email me with law questions. I have this legal question about this thing, but I do get a lot of emails and messages about, I wanted to put this in about a horse. Would a horse do this? And I'm like, okay. So feel free to shoot me a message when you have a question.
although your horses probably aren't carriage horses, but
They are, but one of my good friends, Linda, has like 6 cart horses. She takes hers out all the time. So I don't have any, but I do know a few.
nice. Well, so the book that I'm talking about this evening is called A Wife for Carter, and it started its life in a multi-author series, which was fun at the time, but I wrote 4 books in that series, and then now they're just mine. So it's a Married by Proxy series, so kind of like Mail Order Bride, except that you're already married when the bride shows up. So that carries a whole other connotation of complications, which was super fun to write. In fact, because this one was my first one, the tagline is actually, they didn't meet until after the wedding day. So I really enjoyed that trope because these are my only Mail Order Bride books. And then like the conflicts of what made them have to get a wife by proxy, and the wife too. Like I can't even imagine. Well, I can obviously imagine it, but in real life, who would do that? But they're basically legally bound strangers, and they still find happily ever after. So.
Hey, Wendy, can I ask you something about it? Because I don't know anything about that. Was that at all common, or was it rare even at the time in which you're writing?
Mail Order Brides were common, but Married by Proxy, it legally existed. I don't think it was as common as Mail Order Bride, just because marrying before you've even met is kind of a big deal.
Right. Well, but if you're traveling for it, it might make sense. So you're not worried. The woman doesn't have that anxiety that she's going to travel to get there. And then he'll be like, oh no, we're not a good fit. And you're like, well, I'm here, interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why, especially, when property was involved. Although interestingly, certain states, especially the Western states, actually, that was a big thing, is women had property rights sooner in the Western states, because that was kind of like the come out here, you can have your own property, to get women to actually,
like an incentive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And is it the first book in a series?
Yes. Yeah. There's 4 books in the series. They're only very loosely well, for one thing, the gentleman who was arranging the marriages back in Boston is in all the books, and some of them knew each other. Like there are some connections, but they don't have to be read in order to understand them. But yes, this is the first book in the series.
Okay, perfect. All right, Martha, you feel ready?
Yeah, sure. My book is called A Matchmaking Mismatch. It's the 3rd and final book in the series, so I like to do everything backwards. But it's one of my favorite books that I've written.
So before you tell us more, can they be read out of order, so it's completely fine to read this one, or should they go back to the beginning?
Yeah, they can be read out of order. There are connections among the characters in the series, but you don't need to read them in order. Okay. So the whole series is inspired by Shakespeare plays. So I grew up with a lot of Shakespeare. My mom directed Shakespeare plays my whole growing up. And so it was very much part of our lives. And so I decided to do a Shakespeare inspired series. So A Matchmaking Mismatch is inspired by Twelfth Night, which means that it is, you get the girl dressing up as a boy, and it's in the Regency. So kind of high stakes. And then she's kind of playing matchmaker for the hero, while also falling in love with him. So anyway, it was really fun to write, also very challenging to write, but I really love how it ended up. And Yeah, I don't know. It's just it was a fun book for me, and I think readers have really liked it.
And what are the other two in the series? What didn't you say there's two more?
Yeah. So
Which are
the first one, Redeeming Miss Marcotte, is inspired by Midsummer Night's Dream, which means that there's like a little touch of the, I don't know, I wouldn't call it like magic, but to do Midsummer, I feel like you kind of have to embrace that because it's very much a part of the play. And then the second book in this series
I played
is
Puck in high school, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
so you know.
UIL. After we did the regular play, we went to the state UIL competition, and I got Best Actress for Puck, which I thought was a
Well,
surprise.
dang.
Really a boy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I played Ariel in The Tempest when I was in sixth
Tempest,
grade,
yeah,
so that's my claim to fame.
Daughter is Ariel in The Tempest right now.
Oh, yeah, it was super fun. Let's see. So the second book in the series is based off of well, it's based off of Much Ado About Nothing, but it's specifically Beatrice and Benedict, and it's loosely inspired. I would say it's not really a retelling, but it's called A Conspiratorial Courting. So that's the three of them that are in the series.
Are you planning on writing more, or is that series complete?
I have toyed with the idea of adding one more. I kind of set it up to write another one that was supposed to be based off of Taming of the Shrew, but I'm just trying to decide if I have the courage to tackle that one.
Given it. That's my favorite one.
It would be really fun. So I don't know. We'll see.
Do it as a flip. I think you should do.
That's what I was.
But Taming of the Shrewy. I don't think
Shrewy. Oh, that's how I'll market it.
I think you should have her tame the guy.
It's definitely something I've considered. So I don't know. We'll see. I have so many book ideas, as you all know. So many ideas in my head, not enough time.
Yeah, I guess that is also my problem. I hear you. All right, Sally, tell us about yours.
Okay. Mine is His Unexpected Heiress. That's the title of it. It's a Regency romance. It was originally part of a multi-author series where we all just had the same idea and one minor character connected the books. The character's a lawyer. And the lawyer is the one who shows up and tells somebody, guess what? You inherited something. And it causes a stir. So my particular story, it wound up becoming a duology because I wrote a sequel to it that I think people really love the sequel, almost maybe more than they love this first one. But the heiress in this story is a seamstress, so a working class heroine who does a kind deed for a stranger, as she would for anyone, and she winds up inheriting that stranger's entire fortune, which probably never actually happened. I have not found any actual historical thing where that has actually occurred. But it was a lot of fun to write. The hero is the great nephew of the gentleman who passed away and left his fortune to the woman. And the hero really thought he was going to get all the cash. So he has, and of course, we write ridiculous things into these wills when they're completely fictional. So if the heroine,
as a lawyer, I'll tell you that people do write ridiculous things into their wills on the regular. That may be the most thing that we write.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, good. I'll have to touch base with you later. But one of the conditions in the will makes it so that if for some reason the heroine is found unfit to join that level of society, that the hero's family will get, his horrible parents and horrible siblings, because they're all awful people, of course, that they'll get her money that she arranged. So he has a decision to make throughout the course of the book. Is he going to help her to fit in so that she gets to keep everything that she's inherited, or does he help his nasty family to take the money and position and everything away from her? Complicating matters, of course, she comes with 2 children that she has been keeping an eye on. And it's just, and a cat that's, is talking about crazy cats a while ago. They have a crazy cat that does all kinds of nutty things. But this is just it's a gentle romance. I think I wrote this in a period of my life when I needed less angst and more happiness. And then my heroine, I wanted to write a story in which a heroine could win the day simply by being kind. So that's a major part of the story, is she is just a kind person. She is doing her best to treat others the way she wants to be treated. And I love it. I love that my hero is kind of a selfish guy, that he, he has this horrible family, and it's just kind of how they all have been running for a while. And through her and through other examples in his life, of course, he realizes that maybe that's not the right way to live, that maybe, just maybe, he ought to consider other people's feelings and needs before he considers his own. So it's not super duper high stakes, but it is so swoony. At least, that's what I've heard readers say, that it's a very swoony story. But I really enjoyed writing it, and the book that comes directly after it, I don't know, they're two of my favorites, maybe possibly because they are that gentle and they're about being kind. So I love it.
So I have a weird story that is very short that I will just say, my brother was dating someone who I really, really despised, and Mormon guys go on missions. So I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So my brother leaves on his mission, and this horrible girl that he was dating didn't write him a letter at all. And I knew that she would never write him. I knew, because that's the kind of person that she was. I didn't expect her to wait for 2 years while he was on a mission and come back and marry her. But I thought that she might at least write him a letter. So he's super bummed. So he goes to New York, okay, and a rich area, very rich area in New York. And he helps to find this guy and teach him about our church. And the guy gets baptized. The guy's super wealthy. So I get this idea because I keep running into this girl at the gym, and I'm not kidding, her name was Candy. So that can give you, I don't know. Anyway, I run into Candy at the gym all the time. And every time she acts like she doesn't know who I am, because when I go to the gym, I don't have makeup on and my hair's not done. I look embarrassing. I'm wearing workout clothes that get sweaty. She was what I called a prancer. She went to the gym with full makeup and hair done and pranced around. Anyway, so I see her at the gym, and I have this odd Bridget Strange. I see her and I'm like, hey, Candy, the weirdest thing happened. Did you hear that while Clint was on his mission, this guy that he baptized, he died, and he left all his money to Clint in his will? I'm a jerk. Candy's writing that guy every 3 days for the next 3 months. And Clint's like, why is she writing me constantly? I wasn't sure if she really liked me, but I think she loves me. And I'm like, oh, she does. So after 3 months of misery for Candy, I told her at the gym, I'm like, I made that up. You've been writing him for months, loser. She stopped writing him. I'm a horrible person. Anyway, I haven't thought about that story in 20 years, but I thought I'd pass it along to you since you told me that girl, that very sweet girl who's nothing like me, or apparently
How to say.
actually got a will bequest, which was nothing like my actual real life story. And now to you, Emma.
They always say that truth is stranger than fiction. And I honestly think that, I think sometimes if we put, if you wrote that in a book, somebody would leave the worst review ever. And you'd be like, no, really, that was my life.
Do that. I'm like, well, maybe not no one.
Oh my goodness. Okay. It's hard to follow that one. Okay. We're talking books. So mine is Sandover Beach Christmas. And I actually was over here wait, what was that one about? Because I wrote it 4 years ago. I also had to look that up. Like Martha, mine's the end of a series, but it's a series of standalones. So you can read, the characters are connected, but I think this one is a little bit less connected than some of the ones in the series, but you'll meet the friend group and all that. It takes place on a fictional island, kind of near the Outer Banks of North Carolina. I grew up in Virginia, so I grew up going to the Outer Banks, which is one of my favorite beaches ever. But it had been forever since I've gone there, since I live now in Texas. And so I didn't want to write a real place, because I was all the places I went have probably changed and things have been washed out in hurricanes. So you get this little island, it's Christmas time, and the meet cute is in the first chapter, where he is a police officer and pulls her over for speeding. You'll have to read to see whether she gets a ticket or not. And it's a very grumpy sunshine. Before I really, I don't think I even heard that term. I don't know. How long ago were you guys hearing that term? I don't feel like I heard that term until a couple of years ago, until the rise of a lot of Instagram, Bookstagram and Book Talk. People started using some of those terms. But anyway, it's a very grumpy sunshine.
Ask Elana, maybe a year ago, I was like, what the crap is grumpy sunshine? And
I feel like 2 years ago, I started hearing it. I've written a bunch of them. So it's clearly people were writing it. I just don't know if people called it that, but definitely grumpy sunshine. She had told her family that she had a boyfriend because her family's all on her back. And there's no boyfriend, but she was planning to break up with this boyfriend right before Christmas so that the family wouldn't expect her to have a boyfriend, but they also wouldn't try to set her up because obviously she's brokenhearted. So it was like this perfect plan. But then this cop who is not at all on board somehow gets roped into being the fake boyfriend. So we've got fake dating, Christmas, grumpy sunshine with a very nice grumpy police officer. Yeah, so that's what you've got. Little goofy family kind of stuff going on. It's always good when you have the goofy family, which, let's be honest, we all have some goofy family members that are probably too unbelievable for our books. And I was looking in there, I'll have to post this somewhere, or if you want it, you can comment and I'll put it in there. But I was looking through the book, trying to remember like what I wrote 4 years ago, because it's been a while. And I did put in there, there's usually a few real things. And one of the real things is that they make Christmas cookies, like decorated sugar cookies shaped like cactuses and red peppers. And that's something I used to do it every year. And now I don't do it every year. But I have a great, easy sugar cookie recipe. So if you need it, let me know. And I'll stick it in the comments or in the chat somewhere. So that was my real thing.
Put it, so if they join our newsletters, we'll send out a welcome to my newsletter thing. You should put the sugar cookie recipe in that.
Oh, yeah, I should. Yeah, I've got a blog. I used to have a food blog, so it's online somewhere, so I can find it. That's how I find all my old recipes. They're just like on my old blog.
That's great. All right, Elena, we're going out of order because
I
line.
messed it all up. I hit reload for some reason. I don't know why. I was using the computer, the computer, the keyboard. And I'm like, oh my heck, my screen just reloaded. I don't know what I did. Anyway, I only use the computer all day, every day. And I taught in the computer lab for a decade. Let's just keep that to ourselves.
She's literally the teacher of this.
Like I did something. I wasn't looking. I don't know. Anyway, my book is called The Island House. It is the first book in my Getaway Bay series. I have 3 series set in Getaway Bay, which is a fictional small beach town in Hawaii. And as I wrote another series before this one. It was all beach billionaires, and I was sick of billionaires. I didn't want to write billionaires anymore. And I kind of wanted to write
such a drag. I mean, who wants that?
I mean, I write a lot of them still, but at the time I was like, I am done with these guys. When you write a lot of them, you're like, I'm so done with you and your money. Like, good for you, And so I thought I want to write something that's just a bunch of wedding planners. So every book in the series, there's 7 books in the series, focuses on a wedding planner at a fictional wedding planning place on the beach called Your Title Forever. So this first one, she actually moves from South Carolina to Hawaii. And I sort of stole, not really, but kind of the very beginning of Under the Tuscan Sun. It's an old movie. It's old now, but I remember watching it when it first came out and I was adult. So that tells you how old I am as well. But she goes to Tuscany, obviously, and she's on this tour or whatever. And she ends up buying this fixer-upper villa. And she's not going to go back to where she's from. Her husband has asked for a divorce. So in my book, her husband's asked for a divorce. He's seeing someone else. She buys the island house, sight unseen. It's a total fixer-upper, but she's a wedding planner. She's put together altars. She knows how to use power tools. She can get this place fixed up, right? She's going to make a new life for herself in Getaway Bay. And so she shows up to the house after traveling, across the entire country and ocean, and there's a man in her house fixing the plumbing. He lives there. And she's like, wait, this is my house. So again, and then it kind of goes from there because it's a romance. That's their meet cute. But he's a former helicopter pilot for the military, and he flies helicopter tours over Hawaii. So that's what they do. And it's a forced proximity book, which again is kind of like what Emma was saying. I didn't know that was a thing at the time I wrote this book because this book has been out since 2018. But again, I guess as we started, doing those short videos, that short form video and talking about our books and using hashtags and stuff on social media, it becomes like, oh, I do have a forced proximity book. Oh, okay. So they're, they live together. They're roommates. And he's searching for a place to get out as fast as he can because he wants to go out with her. And he feels like, I can't live with her if I'm going out with her. That's kind of weird. And so he finds somewhere else to live pretty quick in the book. And then they start dating after that. But that's my first book in that series. So it introduces you to the wedding planning business. It introduces you to Getaway Bay. I've got 19 books in Getaway Bay, just 7 in this series. And then I've got 12 in 2 other series. And they're kind of all interconnected. They go to the same businesses. It's the same small town. Sometimes you see some of similar characters, but they're all standalones. They're nothing like My Family Saga, where you really do kind of need to read those in order. These you don't. You can read them in any order. The Island House.
Is it the first one, Elena? The one that's in the giveaway? Okay.
Yeah, so it is, and I happened to have it because I had a whole pallet of books returned to me. So it was right here because I've got boxes of them everywhere. It's the first book in the Getaway Bay series. And then I have a Getaway Bay Resort series, and I have a Stranded in Getaway Bay series. But you can read any of them in any order. This one happens to be the first one in the wedding planning one. And that's kind of what it's about. So if you like Under the Tuscan Sun, fixer-upper, force proximity, military hero who's afraid to commit until he meets the one, this is the book for you.
So Wendy, this is why you don't want to go last, because now it's going to sound like I polled all 5 of you and then took the things from your books and wrote them into mine. Mine came out May 1st. And mine is about a gal. It's called Seed Money. And the reason that I called it Seed Money is that I had already put together my idea for the entire series. I wanted to write, I used to foster kids, and we were trying to adopt 2 girls. It didn't happen, but the whole foster care program is near and dear to my heart. I've been certified in 2 different states, and I worked for CASA for a while, which is the Court Appointed Special Advocates. So I liked the idea of writing a series that was foster kids as adults finding their happily ever afters. But then I decided after I told you I had outlined the first 2 books in the series, when it came to me that I should start with the couple that is the foster family, like start with the mom and dad and why they foster. So that's where this book was born, Seed Money. So I thought I would call it Seed Money because they're all like, book 2 is called Nouveau Riche, which is, by the way, if you're doing the math, another of Bridget's epic marketing fails, because no one, and I mean no one, can spell Nouveau Riche, as it turns out. So when my readers go to try and look it up, they're like, Nouveau, Nuevo? What? How can I find this book? And I'm like, yes, Bridget overthought this and yet again has done something super stupid, but at least it's book 2 so they can find Seed Money and just go to the second book in the series. Anyway, so I plotted out Nouveau Riche, which is the first foster child, but then you get to meet him in Seed Money. So Seed Money is where Dave and Saren are the 2 main characters, and Saren is the most tragic character I've ever written, but all of it happens before the book starts. So she has this like horribly sad backstory where she and her family were on a vacation, and she's always being told, her whole life she's been told how lucky she is, but all of these things that other people perceive as lucky feel unlucky to her. So when she was a kid, her father was just a normal looking guy, but his mother, so her grandmother, was the movie star. I call her Audrey Colburn instead of Audrey Hepburn. Anyway, Audrey Colburn is absolutely stunning, right? And super famous. And so her granddaughter looks exactly like her. So you would think, you're so lucky. You look exactly like her. She's so famous and you look just like her, but she's an introvert and she does not want attention. So she hates it. So all these people coming up to her and constantly trying to talk to her and tell her how pretty she is, she's like very uncomfortable by all of it. And she has no desire to do movies, acting, modeling, nothing. She wants to be left alone and she wants to have a family. So when she goes on this family vacation, she's married, she's pregnant. She goes on this family trip and they get into a car accident and everyone dies except for her. And everyone keeps telling her how lucky she is to have survived. And she's like, I don't feel lucky. And so this whole book starts out with her saying, you know, she is at an all-time low point. She does not want to do anything. Nothing brings her joy. Nothing makes her happy. And the bank is coming to foreclose on her grandmother's mansion because all of the lawsuits took all the money except for this house. They can't come take houses, lawyer thing. And, but she owes taxes on it because of the generation skipping transfer tax and where it's located. So she would have to take out a loan to pay the taxes if she wanted to keep it. And she doesn't want this enormous mansion in the middle of Scarsdale, New York. So she's like, I'm going to have to sell it, but she doesn't want to sell it because all of her memories are there. So she's very conflicted. And so when this book opens, the main character guy is out looking. His parents have always run a trash company, Best Trash. And so this trash company that they've always run, this guy got called the garbage guy at school. So they had money and he went to a nice school, but everyone called him garbage guy. They thought it was funny. And he's also really good looking, didn't mind being good looking, but has just serially dated, right? And so he decides what he wants to do before he ever settles down and gets married is he wants to have a business. His dad has to move. This happened to my neighbor. I steal everything from real life. So my neighbor just bought this huge mansion a couple of doors down from us. It is by far the nicest house in the neighborhood. And I was talking to him and he's like, well, we own a trash company. And we did okay. Like I could support my family from this trash company. But where the real money is when the city comes in and the city says, you can't have your trash thing here, your landfill here anymore. You need to move it. And they pay you buku dollars for your landfill. And because it's, zoned now and they want to put businesses there. Where's your business built on top of a landfill? We want to get some tacos with that. Anyway, so they gave him all kinds of money for this landfill land that is now somewhere people want to live. And so they're going to like put all this stuff, dirt on top of it and build some little tiny tract homes or something. I don't know. So anyway, I took that and made that this guy's thing. And he's like, I want a business that has nothing to do with garbage. I don't want my kids, when I have them someday, being affiliated with trash, right? But he has a really happy family. He loves his family, no family damage or trauma. He has a sister that's got a kid and is pregnant and the best parents ever. And so he wants to find someone, but not until he gets all this worked out. So he's decided he wants to have a hotel. So he's when his dad got all this money, he said, I'm going to assign it to my kids now because I don't need all this money. I'll move my operation out. We have money saved. It's going to be fine. So Dave now has this windfall. He wants to buy something and turn it into an inn or buy an existing inn. So he's out looking. So he looks at this mansion thinking it might be a draw, that it's Audrey Colburn's mansion. And he goes into like the side carriage house. And there's this lady sleeping on like an air mattress. And she wakes up and she has like a Cheerio stuck to her face. And she's like, oh my gosh. And he thinks she's like a vagrant. It's like,
I thought you were kidding. I thought you were totally kidding. She's living in his house.
Well, he doesn't own it. He hasn't bought it. He's looking at it. Right?
Okay.
So he's with a realtor and he's there
sure.
and he's looked at the mansion. He thinks this might work as an inn. And then he goes into the carriage house next to it and he's like, what the crap? There's a vagrant here. And he's like, wants his real estate agent to kick her out. And she's like, it's not my finest moment. Anyway, so that's how they meet. And they end up going into business together. So she won't have to get rid of her family house. But then, she can like provide the house basically. And then he can pay off what needs to be, give her enough money to pay off the taxes. And then they can remodel it and turn it into an inn. And of course, one of her stipulations is we can never date. And because she's like, I don't want to get married. I don't want to love. I don't want anything again because she's too scared, right? She's been through all this trauma and all this misery and she can't trust it happening again. And so then, of course, that's what the book is about. But anyway, and you meet Emerson, and Emerson's the first child that they end up fostering. And so then Emerson comes in Nouveau Riche. And then this is the same series where I don't think I have exactly one paperback of Minted. My author copies haven't come in yet, but Minted just came out like 3 days ago, December 2nd. What day is it? 4 days ago. Anyway, so that third one just came out too. So there's 3 books in the series now. And what's funny about that third one to me, both Saren and Dave have best friends. And so Saren sets up Dave, which is the love interest, with her best friend. And so they go on a double date. So she gets set up with his best friend, Bentley. And my daughters, I have 3 daughters, they all read my books. And they came to me individually, each of them. And they were like, we need a book for Bentley, which is the best friend, and they're like, we loved him. And I was like, he's not a foster kid. Go away. So I was like, he doesn't get a book. He's not involved in this. And then I realized how he was involved. And so the third book is Bentley's book, which was really so fun to write. And because he is super rich, I like writing rich people. Anyway, because he's super rich, he was helping out in Nouveau Riche, that character, he helps him with a couple of things. And so he's in that second book a lot as well. And as I was writing him over and over, I'm like, fine, he can have his own book. So that's what the third one is. So that series has been really fun to write. And they're quick writes for me because I didn't say this, but I write a lot of fantasy. And the fantasies, I outline the entire series, every single book from start to finish before I start. And they're usually 6 or 7 books long. So it's like a lot. It's really involved. But all of my books, like Elana was talking about her family saga, mine are all interconnected. So you wouldn't want to read them out of order. You could, they're standalone love stories, but you wouldn't want to. When people ask, I always say, I strongly discourage you to just read randomly. Start at the beginning, because all of my characters are interconnected, and you'll just miss a lot. And it'll give away, if you read book 3 and then went back, you'd be like, oh, well, I already know what's going to happen with Bentley. I mean, I don't know. I think it's better to read them in order for mine. So, and then we don't have a ton of time. We got started a tiny bit late. So I'm not sure whether we need to sign off now or whether we have another 10 or 15 minutes. How are you guys? Do any of you guys need to leave right at 8? Because, or I guess for me, it's right at 9. Anybody? So we got the word from NOOK that we can go an extra 10 or 15 minutes. So if you guys want to spend just a minute and talk about maybe 2 quick things, talk about what your current work in progress or what your other series that's not this one that you're working on is. For instance, I know that Emma, this is not one of her rom-coms, although it's rom-com adjacent. I know she's got some rom-com stuff. So maybe we talk a little bit about another book that we're working on. And then if you guys want to say what your plans are for the holidays, what holidays you celebrate, if you're going to be trying to travel, I'd love to hear that. Wendy, you want to start?
So I am currently writing book 2 of a brand new series for me that's actually a spin-off. Lately, I do a series and then, oh, that's another good idea. So my current series that hasn't started releasing yet, it's Gentlemen Scholars. So it's been really fascinating because each of the heroes, they're not, normally in my Regencies, I love to write, titled heroes who are, dukes and kind of
the tired of billionaires.
The era, yeah, billionaires, exactly. I don't mind rich people, although they're not always rich. They're just titled and powerful. But these are like kind of, the poor relations, or usually like the much younger son, and so, but they're kind of professional students. So the hero in the last book of the previous series was the professional student who didn't really have a specialty, but all his friends had specialties, and he kind of was embarrassed about his lack of specialty. And he, even though he's a powerful earl's youngest son, he has the bourgeois tendency of knowing how to make money. So he's helping all of his friends. So he kind of established a scholarly society for all of his friends, because they all needed sponsors, but their sponsors had a lot of control over what they could do with their studies or inventions or whatever. So he's letting them do what they want. So each hero in the new series has a different scientific specialty. So that makes me have to do a whole lot more research, but it can make the story go off in a whole different direction, which has been really fascinating. So the one I'm writing right now is a chemist, and book 1 was a mathematician. So
what's that series? What's the first book in that series called?
It's A Lady and a Scholar.
And is that under WM or is that under Wendy?
Wendy, yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's up on pre-order. It should be releasing in February. And then book 2 is currently being written.
Cool. And then what are you going to do for the holidays?
Well, funny story about the holidays. I was just recently in Florida, and because I live in Canada, normally
a little warmer.
Yeah. So I kept being like, I can't believe it's December, because here, well, we don't have snow because climate change, but it's just gray and cold, and it just, seeing decorations and being in shorts was a unique experience.
Yeah, we had some, my brother-in-law came down, they live in Idaho, and they came down for Christmas like 3 years ago. And so they were asking what we were going to do. I'm like, well, I know you guys love to go fishing. You could go fishing and we can ride horses any days that you want. And they're like, ride horses? And I'm like, yeah. And they got here and they're like, oh, it's 70 degrees. I'm like, yeah, you can ride horses any day that you want. And they're like, this is so weird. I'm like, this is Texas in December. I don't know what to tell you. We're sweating half the time.
You were inviting them for ice fishing, and that's not what you meant.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it will be warm. You can wear shorts. About 50-50 chance you'll be in shorts. And even the days that I thought that we had a couple of really cold days that were like 50, and I was like, it's freezing, and they're like, it's perfect weather. And my kids all have coats on, and they're like outside in shorts and t-shirts. So yeah, Martha, I think we're up to you.
Cool. So right now I am like 3 chapters in to the first book in a new Regency series. The series is called A Chronicle of Misadventures. And this book in particular is called Reputation at Risk. And I'm already loving writing it. The heroine is, so back in the, kind of just before the Regency era, it was kind of like the heyday of caricature art, so kind of what's transformed to like political cartoons and stuff like that. And I've been researching that quite a bit, and I thought it would be fun to have my character, my heroine, be doing some caricature art in secret as a way to help support her family after the death of her father. So she's doing this caricature art that's kind of like targeting those in power, and my hero is kind of on this quest to exonerate his brother, who got caught up in what ended up being a murder, and he had to flee to France to avoid being hanged. So and he feels like it's his fault, my hero's fault. So he is very set on finding the evidence to exonerate his brother, and he and my heroine kind of get tangled up and end up in an engagement, kind of like a forced situation. And so it's got some intrigue.
They walk outside together.
Yeah. So scandalous. It will be a little more than that, but yeah, so it's got some fun intrigue and a little bit of mystery, and they don't realize that they're kind of looking for the same things. And anyway, it's like I said, I'm just 3 chapters in, but I'm having a great time writing it so far. So that's what I'm working on right now. It should come out in April, and it's actually the first book that I'm releasing wide on all platforms. So it's kind of terrifying but exciting. As far as the holidays, I just got back last night at like midnight we went to Costa Rica, my husband and my kids and I. So that was really fun. But for the holidays, we'll be home. My parents were actually living here with us. They were in Germany and had to come home for surgery for my dad. And so they're here with us. And I've got my brother and his wife that are coming, and they're bringing their new puppy. And there's going to be like 5 dogs in the house, and it's going to be crazy, but it'll be fun. So that's the holidays. We'll just be around here. Everyone will be congregating at my house pretty much. So
wow. I'm going to send you calm and happy thoughts. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Sally.
Okay, so I just released a couple of weeks ago, and the audio is about to release this book, my Christmas book, Mistletoe for Felicity.
Ooh, but you already have a copy.
Yeah.
It's audio that hasn't come out. The rest, everything else is out now. Oh, that's great.
Everything else is out now, and it's on NOOK, y'all. So, since we're here talking about NOOK and doing things with them, this would be the perfect, Christmas book for you to get on NOOK. But I had so much fun. There's a little bit of magical realism going on in this one. It's like if the Hallmark Christmas movies had a baby with the Regency, I think is one good way to describe this book. It is also an arranged marriage of convenience story. And the first page, the first chapter is the wedding. So people who love that trope, it is here. It is ready for you. I mean, we have mistletoe and snowmen and sleigh rides and, all the awkwardness of being married to a stranger that you get to enjoy in that one. So I'm really excited. And the audio is about to hit everywhere. So it's coming. And then what I'm working on right now is something I'm really also excited about. It's available on pre-order at all the retailers. And I'm working on a novella that is for an anthology called Magic and Miracles. And this anthology, I believe there are 12 of us, 12 different authors who are writing stories for it. They are complete stories, not samples, not parts, complete stories that will be in this book. All the proceeds are being donated to a children's hospital in Utah, Primary Children's Hospital. So that's another great reason for you to, add it to your list. The ebook is only 99 cents. Like, listen to me doing the sales pitch, y'all. But what I'm writing and what I'm really excited about, because I told you I'm moving into historical fantasy. I am intending to take my novella from this and use it to kind of kickstart or launch this new series that I'm planning. I am retelling the story of Rumpelstiltskin, and in my version, he's going to be the good guy. I have loved all Rumpelstiltskin retellings since I was a little kid. And there are several out there in the world where he's the good guy. There's one that's really popular right now, I know, but that's not one I've actually read yet. But I love this.
It's really popular right now.
Oh, guys, help me. The lady who wrote all the fantastic steampunk futuristic fairy tales. She wrote Cinder.
Oh, okay. Marissa Meyer or whatever.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. So she has a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fairly new. It's like a duology. One of them's called Gilded. I don't know. I haven't read it on purpose because I'm working on my own thing right now. But yeah, so really excited to add magic and Regency and Victorian, and it's kind of a made-up world. So I can do whatever I want, right? They can be kind of Regency, kind of Victorian, and magic, all of it. So, but I'm enjoying putting goblins and dragons and fairy godmothers and all of this stuff into my fairy tale retelling. So it's exciting, and it's for charity. So everyone should really go pre-order that right now. Oh, and for Christmas, sorry, really quick, we're not doing anything for Christmas because we're homebodies. We're staying home.
And no one's descending on you like with Martha.
No one's allowed to come visit us. We are just not.
And the puppies and the parents. All right. What about you, Emma?
I'm working on too many books at one time. So this next week, I should have a book out, and it's a companion to my Love Cliches series, which is my first rom-com series. The one I'm writing, it was actually part of a Prolific Works thing that a bunch of us, I don't know if all of us, a bunch of us were a part of. It was a freebie novella. And this is the thing, is I can't go back to my old books, y'all, because if I go back and read a book that's been published, I'll change it. So I went back and I was like, I'll just do a few edits. 15,000 words later, it's like a whole book, and it has a whole different start. And it's a Christmas book because it started originally on December 26th. And so I was like, let's roll that on back. So now it's a Christmas book. It'll be out next week, because why not put out a Christmas book in December? Very appropriate. And as soon as I finish that, I'm actually, and this ties into my Christmas plans.
Hey, Emma, was it a Christmas book when you wrote it for Prolific Works?
Well, it took place it started December 26th. So there was they took down the tree. So instead of putting up the tree, now they're putting up the tree.
Oh, okay.
Because they were accidental roommates. And so in the Prolific Works novella, they already were living together. And I was like, it would be more fun to have the moment where they don't realize that they're going to be roommates, and one of them walks in and they're both living in this apartment. So now I dial it back, and you get to see that, and you get to see Christmas and stuff. So it was really close to it. And so it's, now it just is a little bit more, and you get to see some of the moments that I kind of had to skip because it was supposed to be a certain word length, but I didn't really need to do that right now. But of course, that's what happened.
When we did that promo, I told Elena, I was like, 45,000? I've never written anything under 45,000 ever. And she was like, try. And I said, what happens if I go over? And she's like, you have to cut it. And I'm like, what? She's like, it can't be 45,001. I'm like, that's so mean.
Yeah, it's hard. I can write short. I have, but it's very hard. And I typically write longer. So that's been fun to redo that, but it wasn't what I was planning. And so what I am planning is goes into the Christmas plans, because next week I'm actually going on Friday, and I can't wait. I'm going to Tampa and meeting up with Jenny Proctor, who we do some co-written stuff together. And we have one more book that we're writing together. And so
right?
This will, no, actually. So this is, no, I write too many series at one time. This is the last in the Oakley Island series. And so these are books, we actually wrote the books together. And so we're going to knock that one out. It's the last one together, but then we are doing a hockey series, but we're alternating books. So that's actually, I've got a little cute sticker. Let's see if my light.
Look closer.
Well, I'll see if I do my light, then makes it there.
There you go.
Yeah.
If it's
super
down.
cute. So I'm right in the middle of that too. I'm a third of the way into that book. We're a third of the way into our co-written book. And then I also am a third of the way into the next book in my Sheet Cake series. So why not finish this Christmas book that I was working on, Yes, that's what I'm doing. So we're going to go to the beach for 4 days and try to finish up our co-written book so we can get all the other books that we have done. So I'm writing a lot right now. And Christmas, we aren't going anywhere other than my lovely Florida trip. And I think, we just kind of do Christmas with my family, Christmas with Rob's family. Rob, my husband's one of 7. So for his family, this is our fun tradition. It got to be too much to do gifts. And so what we do is we call it, there's the white elephant and our last name's Oliphant. So we do the black elephant. And so everybody brings a gift. It has to be $75, like give or take $5. And we're really strict on it. And then there's a pot of money. So at the end, we all vote for the best gift. And there's a whole strategy to voting for your own gift or voting for the worst gift or what, because, it ends up being a pretty nice pot. I hold the record for winning the most times, just saying. I think I've won 8 times. But I've been on a bad streak of luck lately. So I need to get on that and get back to winning. But anyway, we do that with his family. So it's kind of that same thing where you put the gift in and you either take a gift or you steal from somebody else. So it's really fun because that way everybody ends up with something they like because it's a nice gift. We tried it one year with no monetary value and some of the gifts were nice and some were trash, so we're it must be a good gift, but the pot of money for the prize makes it so we're all fighting to make the best gift in there. So that's, pretty much what we'll do for Christmas.
Cool. That's a smart idea. I like it.
Awesome.
All right, Elana.
I am working on a rom-com right now. It's my second book in my Cider Cove series. So I have one book out called A Very Terrible Text. My second book's called A Very Bad Bet. And all of the books in that series feature a boy next door, whether it's a neighbor or this one happens to be a coworker in the office next door. So there's my forced proximity. They're next door to each other. They're all this sort of, it's not really grumpy sunshine. It's golden retriever black cat. So if you haven't heard of golden retriever black cat, it's super new. But one of the characters is a golden retriever. He's super happy to please you, always jumping up, doing whatever. And I've decided that's going to be my male character. My male character is always going to be the golden retriever. And the female character is going to be the black cat who kind of stalks around she's the diva. She knows what she wants. She's well-dressed. She's educated. She's perched on the bookcase. How dare you come bounding in here with that ball? And anyway. So they typically some opposites attract going on. Inside there as well. And this one is an office romance. They aren't all office romances, but a lot they are. Some of them will be because, it's got to be the boy next door. And they all live together. There's college roommates and they all live together in a big house. So I'm working on that. It's really hard. I feel like I'm a funny person in real life, but my writing is very angsty. So I've got a lot of angst in it, but I watch comedies on literal one after the other as I'm writing. So I'll watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is a favorite of mine, or I'll watch The Office, or I'll watch Seinfeld. And right now I'm watching Seinfeld, which is totally old school comedy, but it's my kind of comedy. I like to set up jokes at the beginning of a chapter, the beginning of an act, or even the beginning of a book. And then I pay those off over a long time. And Seinfeld is very much like that. They'll set up jokes, even sometimes episodes.
Stanza.
Yeah, episodes before. And then as you watch them in order, you're like, oh my heck, that is a joke from 5 episodes ago. So that's my kind of humor. I'm typically more witty. I love the banter. I don't have a lot of what I call slapstick humor or bathroom humor. I don't do a lot of that. But that's what I'm writing right now. And I do really like it. It's been really fun. It kind of gives me a break from the big family sagas that are full of angst and all kinds of stuff. But I love those too. So I ordered DoorDash and it's here. The dogs are alerting me. And for Christmas,
I'd really like you to get it, please.
They'd like me to, that guy's going to attack us. He just brought my food. It's fine. My husband and son are going to an NFL game the few days before Christmas. My daughter just got a job at the mall, which means she'll be working. So I will be home alone for 3 or 4 days.
Sounds like such a nightmare for you.
Oh my word. I haven't been home alone in like 5 years. I'm
So a
like,
lady
this
tells me once that she's going to her cabin and she's just going to be by herself. Her husband's going to leave her there. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? You're going to be by yourself for how long? You won't have a what? You won't have a car? You can't go anywhere? You'll have no one to talk to? And she's like, Bridget, I asked him to.
best Christmas present ever. I'm like,
What?
yes, please take a road trip to California. Take your time. Maybe an extra day on the way back. I think they're going to be gone for 4 days. And my daughter will have to work. So I'm like, this is going to be the greatest days of my life. So they'll be back, I think, on Christmas Eve. Because of the retail and the trip, we're just going to hang around here. But we've got lots of family around. We usually do some sort of meal. Like, we see each other quite a lot, sometimes just randomly on a Tuesday night. So there'll be people around, and that's what we're going to do. And yeah, it'll be awesome. What about you, Bridget? What are you working on?
So I'm just going to share Minted because I already kind of talked about it. So it'll be quick. And I'm not starting anything new until after the holidays. I made a promise to my children because I put out 10 books this year and they didn't think that was awesome. So, but Minted is the one that I was talking about that just came to me fully formed. And that one was really fun because it's a character. It's Saren's best friend. So Saren's the one who looks like Audrey Colburn. You know, she looks like a movie star. Her best friend got married and was married to this hot British guy she met at her workplace. And she thought that they were a match made in heaven. And then her mom passed away and then her dad passed away shortly after. And so she was pretty sad and pretty upset and pretty miserable. And she gained a lot of weight. And after she gained that weight and was really struggling with that, and this may or may not have been inspired by the fact that my husband lost his father. And it's been really a rough year. And so she gained quite a lot of weight. She'd only been married for 2 years to this guy she was married to, and he had an affair. And so the book kind of starts with her, like there's a chapter from when she finds out, and then it jumps forward to the main story. She's moved past it some, but she hasn't lost the weight. So it's been quite a lot of time, and she doesn't feel good about herself because she's always felt like she was quite thin, and this weight has stuck around since her parents passed. She gained it and then hasn't been able to lose it. And she doesn't feel like she looks good. She doesn't feel like she looks like she ought to look. When she looks in the mirror, she's not used to seeing that. So she thinks that she is the loser that her ex-husband treats her like she is. And they still work together. And so she gets found, you know, in the first chapter, she finds out from her boss, because that's like the prologue, the depressing part. And then she finds out from her boss that she has to go to all the same holiday parties that she covered the year before with her ex, right before she found out. And so she has to go with him and his new girlfriend because they're the head of the different departments. And so they have to go to all these holiday parties. And she's like, oh, great. And her boss is like, but don't worry, you can take a +1. And she's like, who would I take? And so then to make matters worse, as she's like mulling this over and trying to figure out what she's going to do, she's starving. She's been slammed all day because she's trying to figure out all this stuff at work and figure out the holiday parties. So she's sitting there with like some Girl Scout cookies that she had in her desk, which I love, the Thin Mints. And she's sitting there with like a sleeve of Girl Scout cookies eating them because she's starving. And the elevator opens and her ex and his girlfriend walk out and watching her eat these Girl Scout cookies. And then she feels like crap because she feels like they think she's unhealthy because she's unhealthy. You know, like, oh, they're judging her. And she's like, this is what the holiday parties are going to be like. And I don't want to go. And why does my life suck? And so then she goes to a birthday party for Saren and Dave, one of their foster kids. And while she's there, Bentley shows up. And Bentley is this billionaire best friend of Dave and Saren, who was not supposed to get a book, but started talking to me because I'm a crazy person and told me he needed a book. He hasn't gotten married. He's been too focused on this business that he built, and he needs somebody. He's serious. He's like just turned 40, and he's ready to find somebody. And he's ready to find the person that's been next to him for 15 years. He's known her for forever. And she was dating other people and he was dating other people. And so Dave actually tells him he needs to get online and start dating. But he tries to get on like an online dating app and it's a disaster. And it immediately matches him with Barbara, which is the gal who's had a rough year. And she thinks it's a spam account. Like someone that he works with is like snapped his photo and put it up because Dave put up a picture. Anyway, so she like calls him and she's like, dude, somebody has like taken your picture and is putting up a fake profile for you. And the profile's really bad. Like, I know it's fake because it's so bad. And so this is the first Friends to Lovers I've ever written, but it just came to me. Like, he's known her for forever. They've known each other. They've cared about all the same people. They have the same family. And that makes it, because I've heard so many people say, Friends to Lovers is the least realistic because they would have done something. And as I was writing this, I'm like, they wouldn't have done anything because Bentley would be too afraid. His parents, he's not very close with. Dave is his family. So Saren's best friend is not someone that you date. And so it's not until he realizes that he loves her that he's like, I have to do something because I have to risk it. This might ruin my life and I have to do it anyway. And of course, Barbara has a lot of trouble believing that he even likes her because she doesn't think anyone would like her because this ex has done a real number on her. So this one was, the whole Foster series is like, every single review is like, this made me cry, but it wasn't in a bad way. I'm like, okay, if you don't want that, don't pick it up. But this one is a Christmas romance because they have to go to all these holiday parties. And Bentley keeps setting her up. Or she keeps setting Bentley up. Like, she's picking his people. He's like, I clearly can't pick. So she's picking all these people on the app for him. Like, she's going to help him out. And then he'll message him behind her back and be like, don't come. It's off. It's not going to work. And then he'll be like, I need you to be there to evaluate how it goes. And then he just hangs out with her instead. Anyway, it was a lot of fun to write, like really fun. And he keeps trying to tell her that he likes her. And she keeps thinking it's part of this thing that he's doing so that the ex will be jealous. And he's like, no, I mean it. And she's like, good one. Good. You really sold that. Anyway, it was really fun to write. So that was my holiday romance. It's called Minted, which I have a lot of British friends. So I thought minted was a word that people use to mean a really rich person in the US. And I found out that it is in fact not. And everyone's like, is it about coins? I'm like, no. So my UK readers were like, we know what that is. That's a rich guy. And I'm like, you are the only one. So I have nouveau riche, a swing and a miss, and then I have minted, a swing and a miss. So I've got some weird titles that don't make any sense, but it's supposed to mean a rich guy. Anyway, so that's my books. And then for holidays, we do all the normal stuff that my kids think is torture. So I make plates of cookies and I force them to go sing as we deliver them to people because it's Texas and I don't have to feel guilty for them standing with their cold door open. It's not cold. We can sing at you as long as we'd like. And I can torture my children any way I'd like to. So we do that and we do like a living nativity, on Christmas Eve. And I only let them open one present. They have to wait till it's all over so that they remember that Christ is the center of Christmas. We do all that. So I'll do all the traditional stuff this year. And my mother-in-law came for Thanksgiving, so we don't have anybody coming, but my brother lives close and my mom and dad will be in Alaska with my sister. So it's going to be a small Christmas. It's still going to be great. So anyway, that's all I've got. But I do think that all of us, I think everyone will agree with me. They can even unmute and say, yes, we agree with you. We are so grateful to NOOK for having us here and hosting this event, and also to you guys. Especially at the holidays, I get like super emotional and super weird, but I did a huge giveaway in my reader group. The whole month of November, I did a giveaway every single day. And I had Kirsten, Emma, and I had Elana come over too, because we have the best job in the world. I jokingly tell people that in my old job as a lawyer, I used to lie to people for money. And now in my new job as a novelist, I lie to people for money. My kids think that's funny. But we get to make up stories and torture people that we're really not torturing. And then we get paid for doing that. And then we get people that care about our make-believe people, just like we do. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm guessing that you sit there like me. I'm writing these stories that make you cry. And I'm like, my husband's like, what are you writing? I'm like, I'm so sad for Sarah. He's like, aren't you writing it? I'm like, well, obviously, we'll fix it later. So we get to do this really cool job. And we couldn't do any of it without you guys. So thank you so much for doing the giveaway, for being our readers. And thank you to NOOK for helping connect us to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
And thanks for coming and hanging out with us and listening to us. And we've had a great time tonight.
Yep.
And then we're just going to kind of wave like goobers while NOOK shuts the feed down because it takes a minute. But we really love talking to you guys.
Like at the end of the Barbie movie, guys.
Happy holidays.